Hello, everyone, and welcome. Good morning, good evening, good time zone to you all, and welcome to a beautifully balmy day here in beautiful Bellevue, Washington, here at Bungie HQ. Didn't realize it would be that alliterative. Welcome to our stream that's going to go ahead and showcase a little bit of what's to come in Act 2 of Episode Echoes. But very briefly, before I go ahead and kick things off, the eagle-eyed guardians among you have probably noticed a little QR code down here in this general direction. If you go ahead and give it a scan, our friends over at the Bungie Foundation are going to be running a 7th column chaos tournament, and you have a chance to get involved, help them raise some funds, and do some good. So if you go ahead and do yourself a favor, give that a scan, learn a little bit more about what they got, maybe give them a follow on Twitter while you're out there. They've got a lot of cool information that's on the way. But speaking of cool information on the way, back to our regularly scheduled programming. Today, we have the distinct opportunity to go ahead and tell you a little bit about the stuff that's going to be arriving with Act 2 of Episode Echoes. But worry not, as always, I'm joined by an all-star cast of guests here from the Bungie development team. I'll go ahead and dive right into it, starting with the individual right here to my left, the incomparable Allison Lures, narrative director here at Bungie. How you doing?
Hello, I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing all right. Thank you for asking. No one ever asked me back.
More people should.
Yes,
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it. For the uninitiated at home that may not have met you or are just kind of meeting you for the first time outside of the ViDoc potentially, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do here at Bungie?
Yeah, my name is Allison Lures. I'm the narrative director for Destiny 2. It's my job to work with the team that creates our stories and characters. We're in charge of making you cry and feel things.
I have cried a lot in our game, so thank you.
You're welcome.
You and yours are doing some heavy lifting.
You're
Even
welcome.
my black and dead heart has gone ahead and had some feelings. So
Happy to be of service.
we appreciate it. And of course, sitting right next to Allison is the one and only Mr. Ryan Harris, Senior Activities Designer here at Bungie. Ryan, welcome.
Hey.
For the folks that also may not have met you or have probably played your activities without realizing it, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do here?
Yeah, so my name is Ryan Harris. I'm a senior activity designer here at Bungie, and folks may know me from Season 20 Battlegrounds, 7th Inspire, and yeah, I work on the Vanguard seasonal team, making the activity content folks play day after day.
Excellent. I've spent a lot of time in Sabbath Inspire, so thank you for your hard work.
Welcome.
And of course, next to him, friend of the show. If you've tuned into our Into the Light streams, you've met him before a couple of times. The one and only senior design lead here at Bungie, the one and only Chris Proctor. Chris, welcome back.
Thanks, Andy. How are you today?
I am doing so good, thank you. Everything's coming up Millhouse. This is going great. For the folks that may not have had a chance to tune into the previous streams, if you wouldn't mind telling us a little bit about who you are and what you do here at Bungie.
Yeah, folks might be familiar with my work on the weapons team. I was weapons feature lead for 4.5 years. I'm now the sandbox craft lead on Destiny, which means I help out the sandbox team with any issues
Why
they're
am I
facing
getting alerts?
and help uphold that critical sandbox quality bar.
Yeah, it's an exciting one to dive into, so thank you and yours for all of your hard work. Now, let's go ahead and get ready to go ahead and dive into some stuff about Act 2. But first things first, we've obviously been listening to the feedback of our fans, in particular, the kind of weekly rollout of all the different stuff that's happened through
DMG with the
Episode
gift of
1.
subs, let's go.
With Episode 2, you guys are looking to try something a little bit different, isn't that right?
That's
Allison?
right. Yeah, we've been listening to the fans and listening to feedback, and we agree it's time for a change. So we're going to do a trial of something new in Act 2. We're going to be dropping all 3 beats of the acts at once. So we'll be dropping all the 3 beats for Act 1 at the same time, all the 3 beats for Act 2 at the same time, all the same beats for Act 3. And the goal is to encourage players to play at their own pace, to get all of that content at once if that's what they're looking for, or to meter it out over whatever pace they want to play at. But yeah, so we're going to give it a shot in Episode 2.
Excellent. That's right. Yeah.
That
See
is
how it goes
huge.
over.
Yes, definitely. And to that, to that same end, when Episode 2, I did it too, rolls around, make sure and let us know what you guys think. But whether you're a Netflix-style binger like myself, or you want to go to the comic book store each week to go ahead and pick up the new issue, there's going to be a chance to dive in no matter how you want to.
However you want to experience it, it's up for you. But make sure to read it. More about it is going to be in the Twid this week.
Excellent. Okay. Make sure and tune in. We'll have plenty more information on the way. Let's go ahead and take a look at also what got us here today. So we're still in Episode 1, Echoes.
Yep.
Act 1 has kind of concluded its main story beats. For those at home that may not have had a chance to play through or may have some questions about the story, would you mind catching us up to what events got us here today?
Sure. We'll do the short version. Great news. The witness is dead. We did it.
We did it.
Yay. And the episodes are all about the consequences of where we killed the witness
Yeah.
and how. So when we killed the witness, all of that darkness, all of that memory, all of that energy collided with the light of the traveler. And so all of the memories that were inside of the witness, which is not necessarily exclusively the precursor beings that are inside of it, collided with the light of the traveler and made matter out of those memories. We call those echoes.
I don't know, I'm getting alerts
and
from
one of
stream.
them launched out towards Nessus. And so we followed it to try and investigate, see what this thing is. And when we got there, we managed to reunite with Failsafe, who you left. You abandoned her. She's okay with
I do
this
feel
because
personally
she's
responsible.
chill.
Okay.
It's
Just
not
so
my
you know.
fault.
Yeah.
Thank you.
She's very happy to see us.
We're happy to see her.
And we're happy to see her. So we've been exploring through Nessus, and initially things are pretty fun. What a fun, cool, lighthearted adventure.
Best.
Nothing bad's going to happen.
Of course not.
Of course not.
Fail-safes around.
And the act ends with getting a little tease of like, oh wait, this isn't going to be a strictly lighthearted adventure. Saint gets kidnapped, more than kidnapped, kind of
so
body
sad.
controlled away from the rest of the group. And as he's taken away, this being called the conductor is interrogating him and demanding to kind of understand whether or not you are real, like whether Saint is the real Saint or not. It's unnerving and kind of weird, and the vibes are only going to get darker from there.
Even better. Given that Saint has a rich history with the Vex, I'm sure everything is just going to go nice and
I'm
peachy
gonna cry.
Absolutely, yeah.
yeah.
Nothing bad. No, of course
I'm
not.
gonna cry if anything
So now
bad
that
happens.
we've washed away that veneer of everything's going to go great, Act 2 now
Yes.
is arriving as well. Now, there's plenty of stuff for folks to dive into, but as we go ahead and kick things off here with Act 2, can you give us a little bit of a tease of what we're going to
Hope
be
not. Gonna
checking
split
out?
up
Yeah,
Saint.
what Saint heard when he was being kind of controlled really got to his head. We are going to be watching him wrestle with some questions that he's never asked himself before.
Yeah.
And as we are trying to understand more about this conductor that he has encountered, we are also going to be going back and revisiting one of Destiny's most storied locations very briefly.
So the lore hounds out there are going to have a chance to feast.
They're going to have a delicious time.
Excellent. Bife, you're welcome. I don't know if this will warrant another 10 hours, but we'll leave that up to you.
I got you, Boo.
Perfect. Okay. And now that
so
gives us the
good.
structure for what we're about to dive into. But we
Oh
have
my
now
gosh, that was
the new activity that'll be arriving as well. We're going to go ahead. We have some gameplay here to go ahead and dive into with the Echo Battlegrounds, the new 3-player activity. Ryan, do you mind kind of telling us a little bit about what we're going to be checking out here today?
Absolutely, yeah. So we'll be taking a look at one of the 3 battlegrounds that players will be engaging with.
One
this
of
act.
3?
So the first battleground here starts in the Cistern, the Wall of Flames, on Nessus, of course. And players will be running through the Wall of Flames, checking out what's going on here as the Fallen have kind of like started hanging out and investigating the well for themselves.
Yeah.
So players really here like seeing like
Is that the rocket
noticing that the
side
radial
arm?
area of this lake has been drained. A lot of the area is kind of like revamped and like regenerated itself to something new. And players will be looking at the story of like where is this radial area going? Where is it flowing through?
What is
So
happening
for
on the
Battleground
screen?
1, you're kind of like finding out and like locating where all this radial area is
Oh
going
my
to.
gosh.
Battleground 2, you're seeing the actual flow and direction of all the radial area to the center of Nessus. And Battleground 3, you're actually seeing like where it's being directed to. So it's really trying to tell that story
I
about
really
the
like
journey
this
to the center of
area,
Nessus.
too. I know, give it to
So they all
me.
kind of have a way of
sidearm.
interconnecting with each other
So
as
that
well.
means we'll definitely have it
Also,
next
I
week.
mean, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask. Obviously, the Vex have been our primary antagonist through this, but the entrance here is being guarded by a pretty heavy contingent of Fallen. Who are these Fallen, and what are they trying to do here?
Yeah, I can give a relatively boring answer, but I believe Allison can give a much better one.
Thanks. Yeah, the Fallen are here because they're after the Echo too. We want to think of these Echoes as kind of an arms race.
Yeah.
In the absence of the Witness, there's a giant power vacuum that has formed
So
where
sorry.
there's no one in charge who's going to come out.
The
and take
emotes on the
top.
screen.
Yeah.
So the Fallen are here. They're chasing down the Echo as well, and they're encountering the same thing that we are, in that the Vex aren't really acting like the Vex normally do here.
Yeah.
We're seeing some Vex start to act less like a collective and more like individuals. There's one really fun lore tab where one of them waves at us.
Yeah.
So we're encountering mostly Vex, but yeah, also Fallen are here too.
That's
Cool to see
actually
the
really
Vex
cool to
undergo
know
such
that
a
like
change. Like
Fallen
they've been
are
more,
even
I think you were saying like
trying to go
individualistic
after
in
Yes.
kind of a weird
after
way,
this.
which is like the one thing the Vex don't
Totally.
do. Yeah.
It's the one thing that they
I
don't
think
do.
the
Yeah.
Which is why
community
it's
figured out
super
they
weird
could
that
throw
they're doing
emotes
it
on the
here.
screen.
And yeah, in Act 2, we're going to be able to see a little bit more of why they're specifically doing that.
Very exciting. Awesome.
my
Plenty to dive
gosh.
into. And also, with these Battlegrounds as well, Ryan, I know we were talking a bit before the show, but it seems like the main goal here was just for you guys to push yourselves, to really push the boundaries of what Battlegrounds
Nico,
have been.
thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you were trying to accomplish with this
well.
new set of Battlegrounds in Act 2?
Yeah, so for this set of Battlegrounds, it's definitely our latest and greatest iteration of Battlegrounds. As folks know, Battlegrounds consist of 2 encounters and a final boss encounter. So
What is that?
throughout the years, we kind of iterated on what a Battleground is and how closely it resembles a strike. And this set of Battlegrounds, I really wanted to push it to be like, what is a Battleground and what is a strike? I wanted to be almost one of the same. So with these Battlegrounds and stuff, I wanted players to, well, of course, have enough enemies on screen to slay out at all times.
Yeah.
We're definitely pushing the combatant counts in these Battlegrounds as high as possible, in some ranges of 40 enemies at a time on screen, which is quite a lot. But
I can't
Plenty
get
for us
over
to go
these
ahead and check out.
emotes.
Plenty. But that gives enough opportunity for everyone in the fire team to use all their abilities, use prismatic to the fullest extent, and always use their super on cooldown or prismatic on cooldown when the opportunity arises. I want players to feel like they
As soon as one person
they
started
do
the
everything, and there's
emotes
not
on
just
the
that one player
screen,
soloing the entire
not
encounter, so everyone is contributing to that.
It's not me.
Yeah, I can imagine too, even with the the expanded sandbox that's been brought to us with the new abilities by way of prismatic, or even the new weapons, which we'll start to check out here in just a little bit. What were some additional ways? I can imagine it probably wasn't just
saw my
even more, but you guys were saying you were trying to make some more of these mobs a bit more intense to go ahead and go up against as well.
Yeah. So,
I'm so sorry.
with the telling
I'm
the
so
story
sorry.
of the
I'm
Vex
trying to
like
listen.
evolving and
Why is
changing,
he
we've
so distracted?
well, I went ahead and modified an existing wyvern. I'm so sorry.
Oh my gosh,
so-
which
How
one
dare
of you
you.
guys
You'll,
was so funny?
you'll engage with these wyverns in pairs,
That was
and
so
they
funny.
have a special new ability where they can teleport
That made me laugh.
Fun.
and dodge around you, and
Yeah.
also
So friendly, so
yeah,
cool.
It's kind of scary.
A real
and
nothing personal kid.
trying to
moment,
listen.
where they
Yeah.
show up behind you, right? Yeah.
They certainly are an active threat in the battlefield, and I wanted players to really be on the lookout for them and engage with them and prioritize them as that priority target
Yeah.
when they are seen.
That's the
Yeah, and
donuts.
that's something that's been neat. Obviously, players will have a chance. The first 2 of these Battlegrounds obviously arrive with the first week of Act 2, with the third one hitting on the second week. But it's not even necessarily, I think, something that was really cool is you were mentioning earlier that you wanted
you
to make
guys
these
are
closer
so
to a strike or
funny.
kind of blur that line. Even, the second Battleground is kind of like an all-new experience in a lot of ways. It's not just going back to a part of the planet we've been to before with new foes, but it's a brand new experience. Can you tell us what it was like kind of putting that together and sort of creating
So the
this
first
journey
week we're
to
getting
the center
2
of Nessus?
battleground maps.
Yeah, so
and
we really wanted to tell a story of
the week
a
after
journey to
we'll
the
get
center of
the third
Nessus,
battleground
and
map.
that requires new geo, new art, new environment.
He modified the
So
wyvern for
everything
this, and
after
then
this encounter
apologized.
onwards is just all new geo and layout, and we really tried our best to carve out what that experience is, and that, as most folks know from Battlegrounds, they usually run through a patrol in maybe a new boss space or just a new encounter space. These Battlegrounds really push the boundaries of hey, this is all new. This is completely new, fresh. It's kind of like a strike. It is a
Yeah.
strike, almost.
The bosses were part of that exercise too,
Yeah.
though. I think, like we were talking before, where it's not, just kind of taking characters that you've battled before and making them tougher, but it's a brand new encounter with new mechanics and new kind of ways to go ahead and push further into the boss fight. That's the most broad strokes way I can describe it. But obviously, as the man who designed it, can you tell us a little bit more about creating these new boss experiences as well for players during this act?
Yeah. So one thing back to what players know from Battlegrounds is when someone plays a Battleground and they come in groups of 3 or 4, players are like, I know what to expect from this boss encounter. It's usually the same but similar boss encounters.
Right.
But for these Battlegrounds, they're all unique bosses. They're all different. They're all challenging in their own ways. And
Oh, good.
they're just barely and just different. Very different from one another. So that was the experience we're trying to hit here is players, when they jump into a Battleground, it's not going to be the same. It'll be
Yeah.
different. The boss encounter will be different. We'll be trying to tell a story with the boss encounter that you're engaging with. Doling out immunity gates and engagements in that boss encounter in different ways.
I see it.
Be it with just telling a story while you're engaging the boss, or a damage window, or just no damage immunities at all, where the player is just engaging with a boss that has the largest health pool I've placed on a boss ever.
Maybe.
What?
Maybe.
The largest
Yeah.
health pool you've placed on a boss ever?
Plenty of chances to go ahead and test out those still hunt accuracy, or each individual's accuracy with still hunt, rather, I should say. I say that because I keep a shotgun on me for a very good reason. But no, there's obviously a ton of stuff to check out in that regard, but I think I'd be remiss if we didn't also talk a bit more kind of about what we're seeing on screen in some way is, Chris, we've got some new weapons that are going to be arriving with this act as well. If you wouldn't mind, can you tell us a little bit more about kind of maybe even this one we're seeing here on screen? This is one of the new ones as well, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the Aberrant Action Solar Rocket-Assisted Frame Sidearm.
Or rocket sidearms. You love
Yep.
to hear it.
Yeah, the first solar rocket sidearm, and it's a banger.
Yeah.
The roll that we're showing here is heel clip
see it.
incandescent, which is probably, it synergizes super well with solar subclass.
Yeah, here we
It's
go.
definitely the one that does that the best. Just to say it, the art for these weapons is awesome. Like the weapons art team
Yeah.
knocked it out of the park.
I love how
this
they're
one in
vexed
particular has
things.
some nice touches when you aim down sights with it.
Yeah.
Like cool little animation there. It's pretty neat.
It's going to be addictive, honestly.
Yeah, I
Got
love
a
the
very
way like
Vex
has
Mythoclast
the
feel to
animation
it,
there when
honestly.
you use it.
There are some other like interesting perk combos on this as well. So I'm particularly fond of Pugilist and Demolitionist.
Yeah.
As you get kills so fast with these rocket sidearms that regenerating your ability energy as you're doing that just keeps you armed to the teeth at all times.
Yeah. Never hurts. In addition to that, we've also got a new arc heavy burst pulse rifle, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
The Corasian Arc Heavy Burst Pulse Rifle,
Yeah.
another one in this seasonal set. And yeah, this is, we introduced this subfamily
Whoa.
with Final Shape, and this
Yeah.
is the third one of these. The roll that we've got here, High Impact Reserve is left column, also always very good, and Volt Shot right column,
Yeah.
that's pretty strong. I would also look at getting Frenzy right column, because High Impact Reserves is great, but doesn't give you any stats, so having Frenzy gives you a bit of damage and those stats as well, and
Yeah.
very high uptime, really great.
Yeah, I can imagine too in the era where pulse rifles are living through their anti-barrier era as well. It's probably not too bad to have one with that many stacked perks on it. Frankly,
Yeah.
Like, I can see Volt Shot doing a lot of untold damage just behind enemy lines pretty rapidly with that guy.
It's pretty juiced in PvP as well. Definitely
Yeah.
to pick up.
Ooh, good point. Yeah. Headseeker fans rejoice.
Mm-hmm.
Potentially. And then in addition to that, an old favorite is going to be making its return. Saint's tried and true favorite shotgun. Perfect Paradox is coming back as well from Season to Dawn.
Yeah, Perfect Paradox is
Whoa.
back, along with a bunch of other Dawn weapons. This is the one we're dropping in this act.
This
And yeah,
Season
got all
to
of the
Dawn?
perks that you know and love
Oh,
from
right,
the original.
yeah.
Plus a bunch of new ones, plus the new Origin trait, Cast No Shadows, which if you're doing a melee build, just synergizes really nicely with it. So, Threat Detector left column, and then Trench Barrel if you're just doing damage with weapon,
Yep.
or 1-2 punch if you're doing a melee build.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a ton of
Wait,
fun.
that's actually
and it fits in really
awesome.
well with the
I
rest
actually
of
really
Saint's
like
arsenal.
Perfect
Yeah,
Paradox.
we combination blow hunters are about to have a very good time. I can
yeah.
already tell, honestly, as if we weren't already. No, it's been great. So with some new additions to the weapon sandbox, there's also some new, a new row, pardon me, of perks unlocking on the seasonal artifact as well. Isn't that right?
Right, yeah. So each act we're adding a new row. So this is 5 new artifact mods. And with these, we're really leaning into sniper rifles and solar damage.
Yeah.
So
We're getting an entire
We'll bring
new
this up
row
in
of
a
artifact
second.
mods?
Oh yeah, the fire team here obviously is a little bit of their hands full, and also everyone in chat, please give a shout out to Peyton, Mitch, and Justin here who are doing the proverbial heavy lifting, carrying us through this activity as well.
yeah, absolutely. So anti-barrier
Whoa.
sniper is coming back. Personal favorite. Love this
Yeah,
artifact mod.
there's been
It's
a lot
great
of
fun.
buzz about that. I think when everyone saw it on the on the new seasonal artifact.
Yep, it makes it really easy to deal with barrier champions, and like you can also go through phalanx shields, all sorts of shields. So
Yeah.
it's very, very.
I always
high
feel bad for the
utility.
Hive Knights that set up so defiant with their
Oh,
shield, and I'm like, really
scavenger
sorry,
mod
this
to
is not-
significantly discount it. Let's go, that's a
Yeah,
good
and then
one.
scavenger mods, so you can keep those special ammo sniper rifles fed.
Yeah.
Moving on, incendiary rifle rounds. Yeah, so if you've got a solar sniper rifle, and I can think of a couple, we've seen Whisper of the Worm here, but there's also Still Hunt.
Yeah.
This really juices those. You're scorching targets with this artifact mod, and then if we move
Sorry.
on to the next one,
It's gonna be so good with
once you
Still
build
Hunt.
up enough scorch stacks and you have that ignition, it will do increased damage in a higher radius. Super, super strong. And not only that, but we're adding this other artifact mod for sniper rifles, which increases damage with every precision hit. So if you're landing like crit after crit on a boss with Whisper or Still Hunt or your favorite legendary solar sniper rifle,
Yeah.
yeah, you're going to be. The damage output is going to be.
Let's just say, Whisper of the Worm mains are just going to be
What?
feasting.
Oh yeah.
I can't wait to
Your
use
next
it on the
decision run
Witness.
is about to be just a symphony of Whispers of the Worm, honestly.
They just still
Which
hide
is
so much
not a bad way to spend some
better.
time. Also, this is as I was looking through kind of the additional buffs that were going to be added. So with the arrival of Act 2, obviously Solstice will be a part of that. And we'll touch on that a little bit later here in the stream. But with the arrival of Solstice, you guys are also working on a new balance update as well.
Yeah.
Covers weapons, covers armor, covers abilities. I'm going to go ahead and kick off with perhaps an update that's very near and dear to my heart. As a Dead Man's Tale main, the Tex Scout Rifles are getting a pretty solid PvE buff across the board. Is that right?
Yeah, we've seen that the legendary and exotic aggressive scout rifles have been lagging a bit behind in damage output in PvE. So we're bumping that by 30%, which puts them like just ahead of the current leaders for scout rifle damage output.
Yeah.
They're a ton of fun. Like,
Wow.
they hit really hard.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. Not only because I just like hip firing guys from across the map, but I gotta tell you, I'm looking for any excuse I can to keep dusting off Dead Man's Tale.
Yeah.
Fighting Lion has taken its place recently, but just as a temporary thing. It's okay.
They
Also,
have a fun seasonal aggressive scout rifle, which you should keep an eye out for.
yes, that's right. Yeah, I haven't spent as much time with that as I ought to, honestly. I've been mostly hanging out with Lost Signal, speaking of Fighting Lion. But this isn't time for Andy to share his loadouts necessarily. In
That's
addition,
another live stream.
That's another live stream. That's right. Yeah, that's just me tweeting into
that'd
the
be so
void
cool.
and being like, Fighting Lion. The Fighting Lion subreddit is probably very happy right now. So shout out to all of them. In addition to that, an old favorite of mine as well. Speaking of some of the classics, Ariana's Vow is going to be getting a pretty sizable buff against barrier shields as well.
Yeah, so we've had a bunch of changes to exotic weapons and how they interact with barrier champions. And Ariana's Vow fell a bit behind, so we've bumped its damage substantially at 67%. This means that in most difficulties it will break barrier champion shields in 2 shots,
Yeah.
which makes its ammo economy like much more valuable.
Right.
And it had a pretty big
Especially paired with
rework
anti.
recently.
DT
this
actually
just
might
makes
be
it that
sick.
much stronger.
Passive PvP
Yeah.
damage.
Always a good time
Yes,
to go and have that sit
honestly,
on your hip,
true.
honestly. We've got some other weapon buffs. Any in particular that you wanted to speak
Does
to
Steam
while we were
have
here?
a
Obviously, all this
elemental?
will arrive on Bungie.net later, but as long as we
thank-
got you here, I'd love to hear if you got any more on your mind that you'd love to speak to.
Yeah, with the sniper rifle focus in this act, we really wanted to improve their ease of use a bit more in PvE. One of the biggest problems is when you're like trying to land crits on the witness or something and you're taking a bunch of damage,
Right.
you're getting flinched off target a lot. So we've gone in and halved the flinch from PvE enemies.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty big one.
Yeah.
I'm also like a little bit of foreshadowing, but we've gone in and removed the penalties from adept mods. And this is sort of setting the stage for a larger set of mods that will be dropping in a future release. Not too far out.
Yeah. The
Wow.
proverbial stay tuned for everyone out there as well.
Wait, is
yeah.
this gonna make
Actually,
people
and
that are
also we
doing
were talking a bit
solos
before the
much
show
easier
too, but there's going to be some armor tuning as well. Isn't there?
Literally
Also,
the best thing
mods,
they've
I
ever
believe,
said.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you do a lot of raiding,
Yeah,
you're probably
no more
familiar
adept
with
sacrifices.
the reserves mod swapping shenanigans that
They
you can
made
do.
my day.
And this is just
Oh
sort
my
of fiddly
gosh.
and annoying for players. We don't think it's a balance
Let's
issue,
go.
but it is irritating
Register
meeting more players to have
mods.
to do it. So now when you switch your reserves mods back off, it'll bring your total reserves back down to their current cap. And to balance that out, we've increased reserves for special and heavy weapons across the board. It varies per weapon type, but it's in the 10 to 15% range.
Nice. Okay.
And in addition to that, if you do like running reserves mods permanently, we've reduced their cost by 1. You'll note that with some of the discounted mods from the artifact, like already reduced that to 1, so this would bring it down to 0.
Oh, really?
It's a pretty big change.
Very nice. All right. So build crafters, you've all been made aware. Now's a chance to start tweaking those variables in your spreadsheets across the board. Very excited.
That's
okay.
rough.
A lot of stuff to dive into still yet, but we've also got a brief, quick preview of some stuff.
Why
that's
did
gonna
I
be
say the
arriving with
best thing
Solstice.
and then
Now, I
right
know
after the
our
worst
fire team
thing?
is here hard at work in the background, but very briefly, I wanted to make sure that as a part of this show, we took a look at the armor sets that are going to be arriving with Solstice. So, as a reminder, Solstice is going to be hitting here with Act 2. Should be a pretty good time for you guys to dive into. We'll have more information soon, but you can take a look here and see kind of the, I don't know, old-timey pilot race car driver. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm just channeling my old inner race car driver here.
Yeah, I
but-
can really see
That
the
looks so
adventure
good.
influence
Yeah.
in this. That idea of an explorer who's
Yeah.
going and delving into different places.
Yeah, I mean,
Also the pants.
I was going to say, with boots like this, you're
Consider the pants.
Yeah, seriously. Like the first time as a
love the
hunter, I'm
pants.
jealous of warlocks. Congratulations, warlocks, you did it. Let's see. Up next, we've also got our friendly neighborhood Titan, I believe, with perhaps one of the coolest helmets I have ever seen available to them. Once again, as a hunter, it's a very alien feeling feeling, being jealous of
I
Titans,
love the
but this is one time we'll go ahead and
jackets.
summon that feeling, honestly. Titans out there, make sure you go ahead and start getting your transmogs ready, but this is one I can't wait to see start running around the tower. Should be pretty solid. And then last but very not least, my fellow hunters, we also are going to be able to go ahead and feast. We've got another set of ornaments coming our way.
Wait, this actually
really
looks
channeling
so
kind of that
good.
adventurer style that they're really going for to theme for this solstice in particular. And plus with an expanded sandbox of all the goodies that you folks have been working on to go ahead and have us go ahead and tear through it with. We are
Just
very
say
appreciative
ball
of
hunter.
it. But yeah, just kind of a quick look at what's to arrive with solstice. But yeah, I mean, honestly, that's kind of the main set of topics
like the
for today.
helmets.
We're going to go ahead
Me
and
too.
scan Twitch chat very briefly to make sure we can go ahead and grab any questions. But Ryan, honestly, we're now into, is this the second Battleground?
Yeah, we're in the second battleground on the second encounter right now.
Yeah.
So what we didn't see previously was players were, when they finish the first battleground, the second battleground actually starts where the first battleground ends to
Yeah.
continue on your journey into the center of Nessus.
Yeah.
And that's the same
Wow,
for
that's
when you
actually really
end battleground
cool.
2. That's where you start for battleground 3.
Very exciting. That's kind of cool, actually.
That's
And then
so
again, that journey to
cool.
the center of Nessus. Sort of in that same vein, actually, one thing I've also kind of been wanting to ask selfishly is a wise narrative director once said that stories are told in 3 acts. Could you tell us a little bit about what this episodic structure offers you guys? Like, what are you able to
Yeah.
try that's different?
So humans like stories that have shapes, right?
Right.
When we think of a story where you're kind of like in the same place, like doing the same thing, like sometimes we want to make sure that our stories feel like they have shape and momentum to them. For example, with episode 1, we can think of the shape of it kind of as starting in this place of really like lighthearted. It's a fun romp, it's a fun adventure, and
Yeah.
it slowly goes down
Yeah.
into a really dark place.
As all the doom happens in the background, we're having
Exactly.
fun with failsafe.
We get to play with that play with those shapes and play
Yeah.
with that structure with each of our episodes. So in episode 2, in episode 3, it may start at different places and the energy may take you in different ways.
Yeah.
We got to really experiment and play around with what are we introducing narratively, which enables us to add
More
things
shapes.
like a focus on Fate 14 for Act 2, or different ways that the battlefields may change as we're going through.
Yeah.
Humans like stories that have shape to them, and that's what a really well-defined act structure allows us to do.
Yeah, it's exciting to see, honestly, as we've just getting
Yeah.
started here in Echoes and with episode 2 on the way, but we'll talk more about that at a later date. Worry not. We've got plenty to dive into with Act 2 right in front of us.
I
But
freaking love her.
as far as my
She's like,
my
I wanna
agenda
make
goes,
you guys
I think
cry.
actually we thankfully hit kind of the primary bulk
The
of the show.
reason you guys have
Can I
cried.
touch briefly on the ability stuff?
Please, yeah, thank you, Chris. Yeah.
Yeah, we've been monitoring feedback in PvP around prismatic hunters, and particularly the 2 pain points around swarm grenades and threaded spectre. So we're bringing both of those down into line.
Yeah.
We've also got a couple of PvE changes coming, and this is Titan stuff. It's sort of previewing some Titan changes that are going to come in a future release.
Yeah.
But we're bumping up the damage of the supers, Twilight Arsenal, and Hammer of Soul. So those should both be a lot more competitive.
That's right, yeah. Hammer of Soul Titans rejoice. Also, I selfishly like grabbing that axe from Twilight Arsenal, so if those could keep existing, I'd be a very happy camper.
Yeah.
Also, we got a question from chat. Freeboop asks, probably one for you, Chris. Are you guys still evaluating the interactions of the combo on Edge Transit, or will you swap from Envious Assassin to Cascade Point and a 24 magazine while you still have Cascade Point?
Yeah, so we mentioned a few weeks back that we're going to be adjusting that. It ended up needing a code change, which is typically a little bit slower to roll out, but that fix is still coming. So
Very exciting.
if you missed out on getting that perk combination, that is not going to be an exploit that continues to work.
Excellent. Fair enough. All right. Thank you, Freeboop, for the question. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think thankfully that as we watch our steadfast group of Guardians go ahead and continue their way
That's so unfortunate.
here through the Battlegrounds, I think that's kind of the high and low of our show, everyone. Of course, we wanted
I'm
to go
glad I'm
ahead
the
and
only
make
one that
sure
chose.
as we dive into the events of Act 2, as we go to prepare to conclude Act 1, we wanted to make sure that all of you had a sense of what was coming. And again, a reminder, this launches next week on July 16th. Quick reminder of the topics we covered. Of course, we're going to go ahead and remind you that the Bungie Foundation folks are doing some amazing work. Go ahead and scan that QR code and check out what they're up to. Otherwise, Act 2 arrives next week. With it, you'll have these 3 new Battlegrounds, 2 launching with the first week. the third arriving on the second week. New weapons joining the sandbox, new artifact mods for you to go ahead and unlock, and of course, Solstice will be joining us later on into the act. But otherwise, before we go, I of course want to make sure that we take a chance to go ahead and thank our amazing cast here. Thank you so much for joining us today and telling us about what's to come.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks, Andy.
Yeah, appreciate the time. To our amazing team of playtesters in the background, Mitch, Justin, and Peyton, thank you very much for doing the proverbial heavy lifting. To the amazing team here, producers in-house, that go ahead and put this all on, thank you all so much. Honestly, we always appreciate it. And last, but of course not least, to all you Guardians out there, thanks for taking the time to join us today. We'll see you all very soon, but in the meantime, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we'll see you all Starside.
Let's go! That was so good! Oh my gosh. Are we excited? That was really good. Okay. There's a few things that I want to go back in on. What do you guys think of the armor? Do you like it? I like it! I freaking love Solstice. Okay, I'm probably gonna be, honestly, I actually like all of the, like, what's it called? The events. I actually enjoy all the events that Bungie does, or that Destiny has. And I always have a favorite, but then it's like, I look at the other events and I'm like, you know what? That's one of my favorites. And then I'm like, no, that's one of my favorites. I love Solstice because I love the way it looks. I love all the greenery stuff. And I love Solstice armor, so I'm actually really excited for this one. It's looking good. And then we have the Titan. Bro, the Titan! I don't know which one looks the best, but I feel like I like Titan ones the most. I really like that. I love the jacket. And then like, the entire outfit fits so well together. Now obviously the armor pieces look a lot different like on this picture than they do once they are actually in the game. And it just looks so good! It looks so good. I'm actually so excited. And it like, freaking hunters have like a jacket too. Man, I actually look at them boots, man. It looks really good. I'm excited for these. I might have to grind on multiple characters to get all of the armor pieces for all my characters. It seems like some pieces will be very good. Yes. Yes is yes. Okay, so they freaking went over the artifact mods. Cause like they're doing the whole like episode stuff differently to seasons. So every episode comes with 3 acts. So we are currently on episode 1, and episode 1 is like, I don't know, like 100 something days long. And it includes 3 acts in it. So for like the first, I don't know, 3 weeks or something like that, we have act 1, the second one, second set of 3 weeks, we have act 2, and so on and so on. I don't know if I knew that they were gonna add artifact mods in. I don't know if I knew that. But they're adding new artifact mods in, and a lot of it has to do with snipers and solar, which means they are literally buffing Still Hunt, and it's already so good. I literally cannot wait to see and use it next week on a Witness. Because I've seen some Witness damages, especially because we've been doing a lot of raids. So most of the time, we can pretty much one-phase him already. Most of the time, almost one-phase him. We haven't one-phased him yet, I don't think, but we get close to one-phasing him. I'm wondering with this, if we're gonna be able to one-phase him for sure. And then Solo Witness, yeah. Solo Witness is easily getting done now. So many people are currently on a competition on who's getting the Solo Witness clear first. I feel like with this changes and the artifact mods and everything, it's going to be pretty good. Extra rows. So they added this entire row of artifact mods. Right now, we just have this right here. And then these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these 5 mods are getting added in next week. And then I'm going to assume that Act 3 gets some as well. Do we keep the Act 1 and Act 2? Yes, we keep the Act 1 and Act 2. So, because these are the only 5 that like get added in. And then I'm assuming for Act 3 we'll get another 5. So you'll probably be getting another 5 artifact mods. So I know we were just having a conversation before the stream started about, people not really that fan of like the season-based route. now that they're doing episode based route, I really hope that maybe this is something that adds a plus to some people. I know so many people are probably annoyed with me, but I usually tend to like the things that majority of people don't like. I actually like the seasonal based stuff. I actually like being able to like play on a weekly basis and have stuff time gated, because it, you know, gets me to play the game on a weekly basis and I get so excited like every week. It's kind of like if you're watching a show but only one episode drops on a Tuesday, right? So like I enjoy it, right? I play the one on Tuesday or whenever and I get excited for the next one and so on and so on. That's me personally. I know some people didn't like it. I liked it. But they said they're changing that too, right? It's supposed to be like time gated anymore. Oh my gosh. Okay, I think that was all that I really wanted to rewatch to understand again, because like when I was watching it, I got a bit confused, but we got it. Actually, I'm not gonna lie, this all sounds really freaking good. Yes, they are nerfing reserves in a way, but they're also buffing it in a way. And then the whole sniper and solar buff is gonna be insane. I can't wait to see what the Witness's health bar is gonna look like. They said that the Battleground bosses are supposed to be massive. Wait, the health bar of the Battleground bosses are supposed to be insanely massive. They said it was like the biggest health bar they've ever put on a boss, which is scary. The first week, next week, we're gonna have 2 Battlegrounds to drop. The week after, we'll have 3. They talked about some nerfs and buffs besides just reserves that's supposed to happen. So I can't wait to see the entire like article about all the nerfs and stuff that are happening. Kind of scared about it, kind of excited about it. That was really good. I enjoyed it. Can we have more live streams? I enjoy watching him talk about Destiny. I enjoy. That was so much fun.